Capcom has a long and storied career in the gaming industry, pushing out some of gaming's greatest titles that are still known today. But, as with many publishers, they have just as many titles that have been forgotten outside of the retro gaming community, and sometimes even there too. Retro compilations, such as the Capcom Arcade Stadium, help fill these gaps, while also providing you a way to play some of your favorite titles without any hassle. Whether you have fond memories of playing through some of these games in the arcades, or perhaps at home, if you were lucky enough to have a console as a kid, there's no denying the artistry and business acumen that went into making these games. Yes, they were meant to entertain and be enjoyed, but they're also meant to separate a child from his parents' money, and they were very, very successful at it. Now, with the Capcom Arcade Stadium, you can relive those fond moments again from the comfort of your home, and without the need to spend and then spend some more money just to finish one game. Instead, you'll have to spend them on buying the games themselves. As well, Capcom Arcade Stadium itself is a free download, the ROMs not so much. Running on Capcom's RE engine, Arcade Stadium has 32 of Capcom's arcade classics for you to enjoy. The gamut of titles runs roughly from 1984 to 2001, and Capcom have packaged them into 3 packs with 10 games each. Capcom's classic Ghosts and Goblins is a standalone paid-for download, though, strangely enough, it was originally free on release for a short time. Some of the highlights at the moment include the original Ghosts and Goblins, Section Z, Tatakai no Banka, Legendary Wings, Bionic Commando, 1943, Forgotten Worlds, Ghosts and Ghouls, Strider, Dynasty Wars, Final Fight, 1941 Counterattack, Senjo no Okami 2, Mega Twins, Carrier Airwing, Street Fighter 2, Captain Commando, Varth, Warrior of Fate, Street Fighters 2 Hyperfighting, Street Fighters Turbo, Power Gear, Cyberbots, 19XX, Battle Circuit, Gigawing, 1944, Pro Gear, Vulgus, Pirate Ship, Higemaru, 1942, and Commando. There's definitely a large selection of beat-em-ups and shmups in the lineup, though these releases give you some insight into what was popular in the arcades during each of those generations. What's important to note though is just how well these games run, and how playable many of them still are. Whether you're looking for some quick action to pass the time, or hone your fighting skills to perception, there's something here for you. Ghosts and Goblins will still test your platforming patience, while Street Fighter 2, which I now seem to suck at, will remind you just how fantastic 2D sprite animation was, along with just how much harder the old 2D fighters are. Strider is still a hard action platformer, while the 1940 series is still addictive and offers plenty of twitch shooting action, and now you actually have a chance to finish them thanks to infinite credits. As with any compilation of games, your mileage will vary based on what's in the collection. So, with all the retro compilations that have come out, what is it that makes Capcom Arcade Stadium stand out from the rest? The answer to that comes down to 2 things. One, that Arcade Stadium is a dedicated platform to host Capcom's arcade titles, with the possibility of future growth. And 2, the wealth of options built into the platform for you to tailor the gaming experience to suit you. With the RE engine powering it, and games treated as DLC, Capcom can bring even more of their titles to the platform in the future if they think it's worth their while. So here's hoping for some more of their classic titles, such as Knights of the Round, and their more recent fare, such as Power Stone, Cannon Spike, and my favorite Spawn game, Spawn in the Demon's Hand. Arcade Stadium's presentation is top-notch, and Capcom has really gone out of their way to ensure you can have a modern, respect-your-time playing experience, or alternatively, to make it as hardcore as you could want. Beyond changing the game's difficulty, the amount of lives you begin with, etc., you can also save your game and reload at any time you choose. Game speed can also be sped up or slowed down to suit you to the point where it can feel like a Zack Snyder slow-mo shot. If you happen to mess up a section, there's even a handy rewind feature to take you back to just before you bungled it and put it right. Of course, you can also play the games as they were meant to be played at their default setting, and hope your controller can withstand the manhandling that's sure to follow. A nice feature is that for most games, bar those that didn't get English translations or releases, is that they now have both their original Japanese ROMs or the English versions included, and you can switch between them on the main menu screen. Before you load up a ROM, which is near instantaneous, you can change a whole bunch of options along with viewing the digital manual for each game. Viewing options run the gamut from different backgrounds and wallpapers to applying a whole bunch of filters. My favorite backgrounds are the 3D tilted arcade cabinets, which emulate the viewing experience you would have had in an actual arcade. It does make the game screen smaller, but it looks a lot classier. When you combine these various features with other visual filters such as pixel smoothing, CRT scan lines, and the option to set your screen shape as oval to further emulate classic display types, you have yourself just about the perfect visual customization service. The last thing to highlight is the menu screen, which is really gorgeous, showcasing a digital line of arcade cabinets, each one home to a game as you scroll through the list. On the menu, games are broken up into various filters, such as action or fighting genres. The only option missing is a way to list them by alphabet, which hopefully Capcom can add on a later date if they expand it with more games. While Capcom Arcade Stadium doesn't necessarily include all the games you may want, when thinking of gaming's giant roster, it's still a fantastic platform that can be further built upon. With great presentation system, perfect emulation of the games on display, Capcom Arcade Stadium is possibly the best retro platforming system I've seen or used from any of the collections released thus far.